Hello and welcome. Today we have an amazing conversation for you. My name is Josh. I'm the artist behind the music of Anomal. And today we are interviewing and having a conversation with the pioneer of 528 Hertz, Dr. Leonard G. Horowitz.
Great to join you, Josh. Thank you for inviting me.
Welcome. I know you're a busy man, so I want to set the foundation. As long as we can cover these two topics, we'll be good. So the first topic will be the Book of 528. Now that's reaching its 13th year anniversary. So exciting. And secondly, we'll spend a little time talking about 432 and its comparison with 528. And we'll see where we are at the end of that. So, starting off with the book, now that it's been out for 13 years, what are some of the biggest lessons and insights that this book has taught you after its release? I know it taught you a lot in its creation, but since it's been released, what are some of those biggest lessons you learned?
I think the biggest lesson of all is how the creator works, how the creator works. And of course, everything in creation is musical mathematics. So the Book of 528, for people who don't know, 528 is pure tone love, the universal healer. And it's part of a musical mathematical matrix of divine design or intelligent design that the creator uses to administer the entire planet, including our own bodies and genetic expression. So I think what's happened is that since the publication of the Book of 528, I've seen how censorship operates, and despite censorship, divine hand in the administration and distribution of the intelligence, the knowledge. And this is knowledge that shall set us free. Shall means absolutely certain. And why it is that way is because, as you can see in headline news, the news is horrific. It's unconscionable. It shocks the conscience what is ongoing today politically, geoeconomically, globally, with the manipulation of humanity and the current transition into transhumanization of civilization. So that is the topic of my latest book, but I've seen since the Book of 528, it has been made clear to me that I need to have patience as a virtue. I've always considered myself the king of impatience, and I've always been about 15 years ahead of my time. And military operations that consumers are not aware of operate about 50 years ahead of the time that we're aware of. So I've been basically behind that 8 ball by about 35 years, and yet I'm still waiting for the entire planet to awaken to the great news that 528 love and the potential for bringing peace to earth and restoring optimal health and happiness in the population via musical mathematics and 528 frequency dynamics. Learning patience, I think, is a great virtue.
Wow, what a great reflection. Patience. So in what ways, since this is a very liberating book, it's a very freeing book, there's so much truth infused in this. Since you published it 13 years ago, that's kind of like a freeing way you've expressed this freedom and truth. What ways have you seen that patience really implemented in these 13 years, that you've actually had to practice that patience?
Well, that's what keeps me going. Great news is there's been an explosion of interest and popularity in my works. Recently, I've done a number of interviews, and some of the questions that you're going to be raising today have been asked already a number of times. And I've seen an explosion of practical applications in music, in the music industry. We're actually transforming and improving dramatically the music industry. I just got an invitation by a group that is supported and sponsored and largely administered by a Grammy Award winner in the New Age field. And, that's interesting. There's a lot of Christian right-wingers that don't get along with the left-wing New Agers, but yet both of them are grasping the magnificence and the power and glory in the revelations of 528 frequency. And so I've been witnessing that. There have been a number of musical albums that have come out since we spoke last. There have been a lot of celebrity recording artists who have grasped the importance of frequency dynamics, and how it impacts our moods, our bodies, and that's, really the result of my work. And I appreciate it, and it's an honor for me to share that. I don't really take full responsibility, of course, for bringing to the world these revelations. I was appointed, and the story goes back before the book of 528. Actually, right now on Kindle, Amazon, my #1 best-selling book there, and I have about 13, 14 books listed there out of about 25 or 26 books that I've actually written and published. The #1 bestseller is called Healing Codes for the Biological Apocalypse. And that was in 1998 that came out.
Wow.
So we're looking at a quarter century now. I've been watching slowly as the evolution and enhancement of consciousness, particularly in the music, performing arts, and it's also parallel benefits to the natural healing arts and sciences. So not only in the music industry have we basically, done a tremendous blessing and benefit, and people internationally are utilizing 528 frequency in the recording now, and challenging. And this was a topic of an interview I just recently did too, that goes back, and I think it relates to what you're going to be asking. You mentioned about 432 versus 528, intimately connected to this discussion. And so we're looking at millions and millions of people have taken my work. Artists and artisans have taken my work. And I declare that it was really not my work, it was my direction. The original revelation of the original musical scale that had been secreted for about 1,500 years, probably more. And that was very, very vitally important knowledge for spirituality, all religious beliefs, and even Eastern theology, the understanding of what we hold as dear spiritually. Spirit is energy. Energy is negatively charged electrons vibrating and spinning at certain frequencies. So this is the fundamental knowledge of what makes us tick as human beings, as a soul, a spirit in a physical body. And even every aspect of our bodies are regulated musically, mathematically. I've been saying for years, and now most people who are awake and aware and have read my work know that I've said that you are the music. We are the music. We're the manifestation of musical mathematics, of divine design, and the entire administration and rejuvenation and sustenance of who we are, our health, emotional state, happiness. It's all regulated musically, mathematically by frequency vibrations. 528 being the most important. So we can talk about that for a long time. But basically, celebrities have grasped it. Artists and artisans are using it. Practical applications of 528 frequency particularly are advancing tremendously internationally. And I give credit to Jesus. I give credit to Jesus coming to my colleague, Dr. Joseph Palayo, in 1997 as a result of Dr. Palayo, Joey, we call him Joey's prayer, because he had, as a good Catholic, tried to get from the Roman Catholic Church the original musical scale by which the most spiritually uplifting hymn of all the ages, it was called the hymn to St. John the Baptist. And with baptism, you're dealing with rejuvenation and re-spiritualization of the soul and the spirit of a human being, and a divine connection and a Holy Spirit that comes in during baptism. So the main music by which that's administered, it was Joey's prayer. And as a result of the prayer, this is where the book Healing Codes for the Biological Apocalypse, that predates the book of 528. Once this came out in 98, I think the book of 528, I was compelled to write because, again, it needed more attention on love, 528, in the essence of Jesus's message. So Jesus came to Joey in a vision in 1997 and said, here, I'm going to give you what you've been praying for and asking the Roman Catholic Church to give you that they've been censoring. It's the original musical scale, the solfeggio. And so the third note of that scale is the 528 frequency. So that's where I started with, and so I give all the credit to Yeshua. The Hebrew name for Jesus is Yeshua, and I give credit to Dr. Paleo, even though he's passed. God bless his soul. He made a major contribution, and I ended up being a servant of the agenda to bring this to the world. Joey, literally, after he got this, because he wasn't an author, he didn't write that well, he didn't communicate that well, but he heard of me. I had been on Coast to Coast Radio with Art Bell and George Norrie, and he prayed to Jesus to bring me to him. I was living in Boston at the time, and he was living in northern Idaho. And as a result of a series of divine synchronicities, I ended up knocking on Joey's front door for a spaghetti dinner. And that's how I got this intelligence. And so I give credit to them for Yeshua and Dr. Paleo for putting me on this path that now has impacted millions and millions of people internationally, brought about musical and video productions that have been blessing people in a big way.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that story with Dr. Paleo as well. Would you say that spaghetti dinner is where you were first introduced to 528, or had you been introduced to the number or the concept before that dinner?
I was completely ignorant. As a matter of fact, to show you a typical human behavior, I rejected for about a half a dozen times the opportunity to engage this program, this whole understanding, this intelligence. I was too busy. Just like I've been giving you grief about my schedule, it's difficult to connect. I'm solidly out there with various projects and jobs. And I said the same thing to Joey. I said, Joey, this is very important information. I said, thank you. It's an honor for me to be considered to bring this to the planet. And it's interesting that, you say that Jesus brought me to you. And I say, well, that's very interesting, but still, out of my ignorance, I said, you got to find somebody else because I'm just too busy. And I did that a half a dozen times, and it finally come back so many times. I said to God, I pray, I'm a very spiritual person. I prayed to the Creator, and I said, God, if this is for you, if this is what you want me to do, then you got to give me some help, because you know what it takes to write a book. You know how I spent 3 straight years writing my first best-selling book, Emerging Viruses, AIDS, and Ebola. I said to God, if you want me to do this, you're going to have to give me help. And it was like unbelievable. Just right after that prayer, it was as though I had at least one, if not 2 angels stationed right next to me, feeding me information. And it was most incredible. And I wrote about this biological apocalypse. I would be doing a Google search and looking for what I thought I was looking for, and I had divine intervention. All of a sudden, something else that I wasn't looking for popped up that was even far more important and relevant to the issue, that directed me right to where the book came out. So the book was popped out in about no more than 8 months. I think more like 6 months by the time it was edited, maybe 8, but not 3 years. And it is, again, it's now my #1 bestseller internationally. People are buying it because it's like, wow, Horowitz revealed the original musical scale that had been censored for millennia. and the most important aspects of spirituality and who we are as human beings in divine communion. And think about how important that is for, artistic expression and creative artistry and performing arts and beyond the sciences. When you're witnessing musicians in concert and in bands, they're in communion, divine. They're literally, the whole concept of breathing, the breath, oxygenation, this whole breathing, and then spiritual, heartfelt, loving connection to the Creator when you're engaged in the performing arts. And when bands come together, I was watching a number of bands even discussing in documentary films how it's one unit. They are engaged in a divine communion experience, and it's a pure love, like 528 is pure love frequency, and their hearts are resonating that, and the creative artistry is flowing like they're in the zone of bliss, and literally beautiful, expression, divine inspiration. Think about the word inspiration. They're inspired. Their bodies become the instruments. They are the instruments, like we are the music. And so they're having this experience and they're performing, and what's happening to the audience. I just posted some of Botticelli's magnificent vocals where tears are streaming down people's faces when they're listening to this music. They're so moved by it. And what does that indicate? Well, the eyes are the windows to your soul, and the tears are salt water, just like ocean water. And I claim, based on all the revelations, that water, liquid crystal superconductor of sound and light, is liquid God, and it fills 80% approximately of your body. So approximately 80% of you is liquid God, vibrating musically, mathematically, in sync, in divine communion with the Creator. Now think about that as a whole concept to revolutionize the music industry and the entertainment industry, and how important are the lyrics and the music to bring about cultural change and social change. Now you understand why millions of people internationally have started to wake up and say, wow, this 528 frequency stuff is fantastic, and we really need to get into it. We need to retune our instruments to it. And so I've been blessed to watch all that, and I give complete credit to Yeshua, to God, and thank you, Joey. God bless you.
Yes, thank you, Joey. It's amazing how that one conversation opened up so much of this understanding of 528 and the original music scale. And it's really interesting how you had been shown this information a few times before and kind of rejected it. So was there something that happened in that dinner conversation, whether words or non-words, that made it click in your head, that you decided, no, I need to do this. This is God showing me that I need to do it. Was there anything in that dinner that you remember that was kind of that clicking moment?
No, again, I'm my egocentrism, I wouldn't call it narcissism, but I would call it ego. Like, typically, if somebody gives you a project, even if it's an important project and your plate is already full, you neglect it and you say, well, thanks a lot for thinking of me, but I'm not your guy.
Yeah.
I'll pass. So I passed a half a dozen times, and it kept coming back. I had people in the community saying, listen, Joey's got this stuff. He prayed for you. Jesus brought you to him. You got to really, really consider this. And so finally I said, okay, let me pray on it. So I prayed on it. And then miracles started to happen. Miracles, literally miracles.
It's not hard to listen to the miracles when they come right in front of your face.
Oh, and as somebody who's as dedicated as I am spiritually to the Creator's service, I know I get into trouble. I really get whacked if I don't listen, I don't pay attention. So, I'm aware of that in my maturity here as an elder. I've learned the lessons the hard way, and I don't want to, basically become the victim of my own stupidity.
Well, that's what happens to pioneers. The first one through the wall has to deal with all the damage. So you've helped all of us understand so much more, and that actually leads into a question I could have here. What advice would you give to the others who feel compelled to share this message and share the mission behind it? And with that, maybe receiving backlash, maybe receiving some type of pushback or pressure. Do you have any advice to those people who may take this mission on themselves?
Well, first of all, God bless you for feeling the passion. There's no better game in town. There's no better and more important project on this planet right now than to save the planet in every way, from physical, individual salvation of bodies and minds and spirits and souls, to the whole globalization and the environmental disintegration and poisoning and pollution. These are all of the issues that could be remedied by people grasping the 528 frequency intelligence. I know it seems, what? How could that be? But that is the truth. You know, on my mother's grave, I swear to you that is the truth. You have to come. It's no other reasonable interpretation of the power of the divine revelations that you could come to in terms of what we could do with this intelligence and what we're doing with this intelligence, and why it would be that the Creator, through Yeshua, through Jesus, through Joey, through me, would bring this intelligence to the world at this critical time in history, where everything is chaotic, everything is falling apart. There's crime and criminality, and it's disgusting what's taking place. That headline news is nauseating. But the bottom line is, where's the salvation? Where's the remedy? And this is the remedy. It's the exclusive remedy, because it's just like Jesus said. He says, I am the truth that shall set you free, and the life. And the life. So the truth gives the life, and the life reflects the truth. What is that? It's all musical mathematics. The truth is that we're musically, mathematically administered. So if we want to bring heaven to earth, you bring this intelligence and this righteousness. Righteousness means right standing in the law. The law is musical math. Math never lies. 1 and 1 is always 2. So now you look at 528. What number is that really? It's a 6, a miracle 6, MI6. Now you've just diagnosed the origin of British Secret Service, MI6, miracle 6. Secreted intelligence, the most powerful intelligence, is that we're loving human beings. We're receiving love by grace. We're receiving spirituality and sustenance and restoration by the grace and love of God. And it's all about love. Now, John Lennon's music, it's all about love. Paul McCartney, all about love. And you begin to realize Jesus's message is being fulfilled, because the life, and I go into this in the book of 528 and subsequently in many DVDs, presentations, where we go into water. Water's the structure based on 528. It's a 6-sided hexagonal shaped structure that forms to balance out the H2O molecules. It's a tetrahedron structure, H2O is, but because of the polarity, again, energy, it always seeks a mate. So it shifts to balance, and then it becomes the Star of David, the amulet used by the Israelis to reflect like the key of the house of David. King David played a magic healing harp. It soothed souls of his enemies, bitter enemies, such as King Saul. Why? How? Today, when you walk into the city of David in Jerusalem, you walk through a healing harp, through this big harp. David played, this healing harp. And of course, what frequency did he tune his harp to? The key of the house of David. So it's obviously so. And then you start to research, like you now have 528 frequency, the heart of sunshine, the heart of the rainbow, the reason grass is green, the reason we're living off of oxygen that's vibrating in 528 frequency, because it's resonating at the heart of sunshine. That's 528 nanometers, greenish yellow. Now you also understand Eastern theology, the green heart chakra, Wonderful. Now we understand the source of this loving energy is a frequency of 528, love 528. Magnificent revelations. And so with that truth, it brings life and restoration for the planet in great need of this intelligence.
Absolutely. There's so much need for that. The information to be shared, the information to be sung, the information to be brought in individually and collectively. Is there a direct way you see 528 bringing together people that isn't necessarily through music, but just the frequency itself?
Well, you know, your question raises the issue of manipulation of the intelligence and when you say bringing people together, well, what kind of people do we want to be bringing together? You know, do you want to bring together drug industrialists that are making money off of humanity's suffering? You know, they're promoting vaccinations and they're having you pop magic pills that supposedly cure every ill, but then when you watch the news and the advertising, they tell you all of the diseases that they're normalizing from cancer on down that are caused as side effects from the drugs and the vaccinations. So, you know, those people too, if you look today at who's at the forefront of frequency therapeutics, you'll see that the major stockholders in the pharmaceutical cartel have heavily invested in this. And we could go into how this is vitally important in transhumanizing civilization, the Neuralink, the neuroscience, what's taking place when you get, for example, injected with vaccines that contain graphene, man-made energy converter, transformer, takes your body heat, energizes a wireless communication system that not only data mining of your physiology, of your blood chemistry. When today you're looking at your smartwatches and you're looking at little skin patches that monitor your blood sugar levels and your heart rate, they're working by frequency, the same frequency dynamics we're talking about. So it's bringing the world together to administer evil and a takeover without informed consent. Greatest blessing humanity has ever been given by the Creator is free will. But without intelligence, you're not given informed consent. You don't consent to being killed. But that's another group of people who are grasped this technology. So you have spiritual warfare. This whole issue is held in the context of spiritual warfare. That's why the title of my latest book is Spiritual Warfare. It starts with spiritual warfare and salvation, that involves salvation of the soul, spirit, and basically survival as a human being, a physical human being. And it all is involved in, you know, battling against this ignorance and this manipulation and omissions and intelligence that dumb us down so that we're susceptible to manipulations by the devil doers. And so when you ask, you know, what communities are going to be bringing this out and bringing this together, you know, we're told in the Bible that we won't know the exact time and place for the miraculous shift that's going to be taking place. But I absolutely am certain it has everything to do with musical mathematics. Maybe it's another concert. In 2009, I was the executive producer on a very vitally important event. It was called the Concert for the Living Waters. I did that with Dr. Emoto and many others. There was groups in 76 countries that participated, that prayed over water and played in instruments and tuned voices to 528 frequency love to give thanks to the living water. Again, living water, liquid God, it's in you. 80% of you is that. So basically, that was the 2009 event that I think started to shift. It was an important event spiritually. And now, so many years later, we're looking at what's taking place now in terms of popularizing this intelligence. But yet, you know, I don't know exactly what God has in store because God always works in miraculous ways, and we're never really given that highest level of intelligence. Maybe there's good seers and telepathic individuals who are able to discern that prophecy, but I'm not one of them. But I do have complete faith. I'm absolutely certain that God is not going to let this thing play out the way that the evildoers, the devil doers, are advancing currently.
Absolutely, and I agree with that. I love how you broke down my question and kind of turned it around to get your angle. So if I could reword that question, or maybe bring your answer, summarize your answer, the way that you see community, or more of a communal connection, would be with music, or around music, or even over music. Is that fair to say?
Oh, it's absolutely fair to say. Even the language you and I are speaking right now is a blasphemy. English, where does it come from? You know, you go back to the early 1500s. What is English? And this is in the book Healing Codes for the Biological Apocalypse. One of the revelations that Joey provided with Yeshua's blessing and guidance was the fact that the English language is Hebrew backwards. Alphanumerically, again, alpha means there's letters and numbers associated, alphanumerics. And so the deciphering of the alphanumerics of the English language is vitally important in everything that we're looking at and we're perceiving. Have you ever wondered why there's so many X's? X. Elon Musk renames Twitter X.
Everything is X.
See, it's the answer to that question is right in the book of Healing Codes for the Biological Apocalypse, because the alphanumerics, A to Z, you have actually 1 through 9, 1 through 9, 1 through 8, because there's only 9 numbers in God's mathematical matrix. 10 is a man-made concept, this decimal system. So basically, you have 1 through 9, 1 through 9, 1 through 8, A to Z. That means that the 6's are F-O-X, Fox. So the X's and O's, when you kiss and hug people in writings, you're actually writing 666. And the 6's, you see, and I revealed this in the book Love, the real Da Vinci Code, because this is the Da Vinci Code. This is the real Da Vinci Code. I basically decrypted, based on these revelations, Leonardo da Vinci's most famous drawing, the Vitruvian. They called it, the Roman Catholic Church named it the Vitruvian Man. But there's a woman behind the man. There's 2 people, there's 4 arms, 4 legs, and a head. There's a woman's head behind the man. And she has had the intelligence and wisdom to step out of the box that the man is stuck in, the box of earthly limitation. She alone touches with her hands, and her feet are on it, the circle, which the art historians say is the universal connection. So the universal man concept is depicted in that graphic. And basically, it's the real Da Vinci Code deals with this concept of love, which the frequency of 528 in the perfect circle of sound that I trademarked, and it's in the book. I can send you the graphic on it, and you're welcome to show it for this video. But there's 9 core creative frequencies only to the entire universe. So it's simple. It's not complex. How Creator administers the universe is not complex. 9 core creative frequencies. There's many other frequencies, of course, but they're harmonics, or they're in dissonance. They're disharmonic. And so basically that intelligence is vitally important when you start to dig into it. And then you realize how many applications. Every industry is touched by this intelligence. Every industry can be completely remedied, revamped, and purified, and made righteous, right standing in the law. For example, the pollution, the challenges that we're facing in the quote green movement. Now that's a misnomer completely. This whole concept of being pollution from carbon utilization and pollution, it's easily remedied when you understand the dynamics of hydrogen. And today there's a big rage in the water industry, in the natural healing industry, for hydrogenated water. And there's been scientific studies that say, okay, it boosts immunity, it's an antioxidant, it's doing wonderful antioxidant for curing diseases. True, but the fact of the matter is it's not really in the water, it's in the gas. What's the gas? It's hydrogen, and it doesn't even dissolve in the water. And the hydrogen, basically, if you don't trap it with an aluminum can, it comes out. The lesson is that the hydrogen is giving off these negatively charged electrons that are the antioxidants that have the capacity to cure the pollution on the planet. If we simply refocus on how nature works, how does nature deal with carbon dioxide and pollution? It literally does it through the conversion via the negatively charged electron antioxidation processes. And so the green movement, what color is green? It's 528. So the basis for the whole green movement should be in this field of 528 intelligence, but it's not. Why isn't it? Because again, this sacred secreted knowledge has been basically brought forth, and it affects every aspect of life, including our language. We're speaking Hebrew backwards. Hebrew was one of 3 sacred languages. The sacred languages were Hebrew, ancient Aramaic, and Hebrew, ancient Aramaic, and there was
Sanskrit?
one other. Yeah, thank you. See how my age is catching up with me now. Right? Sanskrit, ancient Aramaic, and Hebrew were the sacred languages. What made them sacred is some research has been done in this field, where when you spoke those vibrations, then it caused certain frequencies to impact physical reality, and that's called cymatics, the science that studies the effect of sound on matter. So cymatically, the sacred languages created sacred geometry. Look at your body. You're a carbon-6 being. Why are you carbon-6? Well, we just talked about it. Because of 528 love. The sacred geometry of the hexagonal shape, that's the basis for the Star of David. That's an amulet for protection. That's why it's the key of the house of David. 528, you reduce it. 5 plus 2 is 7 plus 8 is 15. Then you take the 1 plus 5, you add 1 plus 5, that's a 6. So you talk about miracle 6, MI6. Third note of the original solfeggio musical scale, pure love. And science shows that that's a powerful antioxidant. There's been 3 independent studies having nothing to do with me. They don't even mention my work. They don't even mention the fact that their work was inspired by my book of Healing Codes for the Biological Apocalypse and these revelations. They don't mention me at all. Yet they have now gone independently in Tehran, University of Tehran, and in universities in India and elsewhere, showing you the power of 528 alone, just the pure tone. Powerful antioxidant. Increases antioxidant activity in the body 100%. Just the pure tone. Now, that's where hydrogen is giving off that frequency. How can we say that? Because it's obviously so. In science, empirical data, observation data. Look at sunshine. Solar radiation pops off of hydrogen exclusively. It's all hydrogen coming in. And what's it producing? The rainbow. And what's at the heart of rainbow? Greenish yellow. 528 nanometers of light in the electromagnetic color spectrum. And what is that? How does that impact us? How does it impact our environment? Hello, oxygen, chlorophyll. What color is it? Greenish yellow. What's it doing? vibrating to the heart of sunshine, saying, give me more of that stuff. I love that energy. They take that in, chlorophyll, and it produces oxygen, and we're living off of it. So that, again, reflects to the Bible and says the life is in the blood. And what's in the blood carrying the life? Hemoglobin. Well, look at the structure. Goes right back to the hexagonal shape. It's virtually identical to chlorophyll, with the substitution of iron instead of magnesium. Magnesium is green in plants. Our blood is red. One little atom changes that. Magnesium, one element, magnesium, goes to iron, gives you hemoglobin instead of the life that's in the blood called chlorophyll. Starting with hydrogen and the frequency of love 528 in the solar radiation popping off of the hydrogen. There's why it is that the big rage right now in health, hydrogenated water it's called. It's the hydrogen that's doing it, and more importantly, it's the frequency, the musical mathematics of divine design that's bringing the antioxidant remedial energy to us. Isn't that beautiful?
Yes. There's clearly an agenda behind 432, which you enunciate in chapter 4. So, given that information, what role do you think 432 has to play, given all frequencies have domain in the universe?
The fundamental role that 432 has played so far is a diversion off of the blessing of 528. I can tell you the history of the entire 432 movement because I was there when it was spawned by Tyler Thurman, one guy whose name was Tyler Thurman in Los Angeles, actually Long Beach, and Jamie Butturf, who the two of them just decided to work. Did I lose you?
I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Oh, good.
Okay.
Yeah, I can. Okay. So yeah, the two of them had infiltrated the Concert for the Living Water, and there were a number of volunteer groups, and they tried to literally destroy it. And they subsequently, soon thereafter, after the Concert for the Living Water, began to spread the concept that 432 was really the main natural frequency for healing, and Dr. Leonard Horowitz was a fraud, and 528 was bad and evil, and all sorts of things came out from their group. I had to conclude, based on that unprovoked attack and stupid attack, that these were counterintelligence propagandists. And subsequently, others picked up on it in a huge way. So much so that it leads to the most reasonable conclusion, in fact, presumption. You have to presume that the entire 432 movement has been based on counterintelligence, British Secret Service, MI6 in Britain, and CIA in the United States, to take out all of the magnificent revelations that we've been talking about for the last hour. So I would have to conclude, first of all, there's so much disinformation out there, and I witnessed all of that. Probably I would have to say that at least half, if not more, of all of the productions, the solfeggio productions on the internet, are either created by the devil doers to divert from even recognizing me and recognizing my work and honoring my work. And the major ethical challenge to that is the fact that you never publish anything without giving proper professional attribution to the source of the intelligence. So the entire industry, there's many Secret Service covert operators who've been taking my work, not mentioning me, even worse, smearing me and disparaging me to discredit 528 and my work, and promoting 432, heavily promoting 432. Problem is, 432 even though it's a good natural frequency and it can be used for healing. I use 432 for what I think it's the best suited for, which is balancing and stimulating the sexual chakra. Look at the color of 432. It's orange. So, in the chakra system, you got your root chakra is red, and then it raises to orange. That's your sexual chakra. That's 432. Then you go up from there. Your solar plexus chakra is yellow, and then it comes to your heart chakra, which is green. There's your 528. So I utilize the 432 frequency to balance the sexual chakra. And I use that in the album I produced called the Solfeggio Eclectica album. And that album is seeding the understanding that we could use music and this kind of creative artistry to balance the chakra systems and heal the body. So I use it. It's a good natural frequency. As I mentioned, Victor Showell and others, a great colleague of mine who wrote the foreword to my latest book, genius, MD, PhD, Vernon Neppy, also has studied 432 and say, yeah, this is a good frequency. It's based on nature, but it's not a solfeggio frequency. It's not certainly the miracle frequency of 528. Yes, it harmonizes with 528, as do pretty much all, except for the 741 frequency, which is dominant in the music that we're listening to on the radio. They've created A440, not 432. And another lie that's sad, because I don't know why people have to lie about 432, but the claim is that 432 was originally used by the classical musicians of Europe. That's false. It was 439. And in fact, a genius scholar, Llewellyn Lloyd, was brought before the British Standards Institute and published in the Royal Society of the Arts back in 1939, protesting against the creation of A440 standard concert pitch, saying, if you do this, then at the beginning of the concert, everybody's going to tune to A440. By the end of the concert, everybody's going to be out of tune. The instruments don't stay in tune. Versus if you use A444, then at the end of the concert, everybody's still in tune. Now, that was the top expert in the field at the time that they imposed this on the Western world's music. So it wasn't 432. And as a guitar player myself, when I listen to it, I tune to 432, it's dull. It seems dull to me. It just lacks energy, which makes complete sense because you're tuning up. Your strings are getting tighter in A439, and then you go to A444, where your C note goes into sync with the heart of nature, and suddenly, to me, just I experience it comes alive. And that's what I believe is the frequency, the optimal frequency to play music in. Because again, what is the objective of a band or an orchestra? It is to synchronize and harmonize and commune, cohere with their energy, frequency, resonance, and inspiration divine into something magnificent as an expression of creative artistry and even God. And so that to me is an expression of love optimally, and I want to tune to A444 and celebrate what Llewellyn Lloyd had told the British Standards Institute in 1939.
That's so interesting that this came from the Concert of Living Waters. So what you're saying is that Jamie Baturf and his associate went to Concert of the Living Water, and from Concert of the Living Water, they came up with the Cosmic 432 series?
Yeah, that's exactly where it started. Yeah, they infiltrated our organization to disrupt it. Now, why would you do that? This is a wonderful, wonderful international concert. There was 76 nations, groups participating. It was all about love, giving thanks to the waters of the planet. It was ridiculous. Why would they suddenly bring this whole concept to especially target me for discrediting? I mean, you got to be sick. And that's where it started. 432 was these were the guys that first mentioned that, and then subsequently they spread the word. So you had Central Intelligence, and Butterf, he even published that he had been employed by the Pentagon. I don't know what the hell he was doing with the Pentagon, but the bottom line was that it was Tyler Thurman and Jamie Butter that began the 432 movement in the United States. And it was so supported in the United States that it caught fire internationally. Now, how did that happen? How come 528? It didn't happen to 528. It didn't happen to Dr. Leonard Horowitz's works. We've been at this, censorship issue, and unfortunately for years, for now almost a quarter century. And yet 432 exploded on the scene. Suddenly, trolls in British Secret Service and Canadian journalists were writing about 432 and saying how, excuse me, saying how 528 really wasn't where it's at. That's ridiculous. You don't hear me bad-mouthing 432. 432 is a good frequency for a special purpose, and it's related to 528. Why would you disparage 528 love? You have to have some sort of you're sick. You're really sick.
This is such an important, it's such an important realization though, because for so long, it's almost, and I don't know if it's Jamie Butterf and that movement that has created this, but it's been like a competition or like a one or the other. Yep. It's either 432 or 528, and you can't do one, or you can't have the other with one, and that doesn't make sense either.
No.
All frequencies have domain. So it's so interesting that they infiltrated your concert, and from that concert created a competition. That's so
what
surreal.
They did. Yeah, that's right. I have several older articles that I probably could dig up. I'm not sure if the search engines can bring them up anymore, that show, this whole contrived debate. The war 432 versus 528 is stupid. It's only simply as a cognitive warfare. It's part of mind control and social engineering to disparage the 528 movement. And so again, a lot of us are waking up to that now and saying it's ridiculous, which it is.
Yeah. Oh, that is such an impactful realization for myself, and just to have it inside of a conversation that is very impactful. Okay, so I have the Biological Healing Codes to the Apocalypse I'm going to read, and then your other book. Would you like to say anything about that really quick?
Well, thanks. Yeah, that's basically, I don't know. I've got the demo copy here that was sent to me by Amazon Kindle. So this is the new book, Spiritual Warfare, Salvation, and Survival in the Age of Chaos, and it's subtitled Artificial Intelligence, Frequency Weaponry, and Transhumanism, Threatening Extinction. And that's the new book. And so, I pray that, unfortunately, just 2 days ago, I paid for EIN, Newswire service, paid them $360 to purchase the contract for outputting press releases on the book. Within 24 hours, they canceled the contract. Get this, the reason why they claimed that the book and my press release causes fear. They don't want to upset the readers of the population of the press releases. So they basically, actually this morning I got word that they refunded my money after I complained. But that's a main press wire service, a newswire service in the United States and overseas. And that's what I've been experiencing. again, Sherry Kane, God bless her soul, the reason why we developed 528 Revolution, Revolution Television, revolutiontelevision.net, which is still under reconstruction right now, is because we've been censored, heavily censored. Try to go to Wikipedia, for example. You go to Wikipedia, you look up Dr. Leonard G. Horowitz, you won't find a Wikipedia page. Why? Because if you go to the waronwethepeople.net, waronwethepeople.net, and you pull down Google tab at the top and Wikipedia, go down to the article, you'll actually see that we republished the dialogue that Wikipedia editors that included CIA agents, that they discussed whether or not they should pull Dr. Leonard Horowitz's Wikipedia page from the internet. And you see the discussion. There was about, I think, 8 different agents, editors, that were discussing the topic. And you had a number of them say, you can't pull Horowitz. He's a best-selling author. He's done all these wonderful work. He's got millions and millions of people following his work and benefiting from his work. You can't pull him from Wikipedia. Didn't care. CIA top head honcho pulled the whole damn thing.
That's so surreal to have the conversations of that too. I'm really intrigued that waronwethepeople.net.
Yeah, waronwethepeople.net. If you go there at the very top, I think there's the Google tab, and you scroll down to the sub-menus, you'll see one that says Wikipedia, censorship of Dr. Leonard Horowitz. And I reprinted, I took a copy of their dialogue, their discussion, their debate. It's a PDF. You can open it, you can read what the editors concluded, saying, no, you can't pull Horowitz, and yet they did it anyway.
So surreal how much censorship you've dealt with. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for having this conversation. Thank you for going into so much depth about all these amazing revelations and things that we should be celebrating and singing on a daily basis. It's so important, and I'm so grateful for this conversation. You have no idea. Thank you.
Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you for the opportunity, Josh. God bless you, and thank you for your work in outputting the truth that shall set us free.
Absolutely. All right, well, I hope you have a good rest of your day. I'm sure we'll be in contact soon. Hopefully there isn't too much more drywall for you to put up.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if my lungs can take any more, frankly.
Well, the most 528 and the most love. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that.
Peace.
God bless. Take care.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was the Dr. Horowitz interview. I can hardly believe that just happened. I was doing my best to keep my anxiety, my nerves, my excitement under control. We went a little bit over. We're about an hour and a half now. So I had a couple questions I was hoping to ask, a couple reactions. I was hoping to get, however, we were over time. Like I said at the beginning, we could dive into any topic and just continue to go. So I'm so grateful for this. Thank you, Dr. Leonard Horowitz. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Stu. Thank you, MCN6. Of course, Me6 is talked about in MCN6. I'm so grateful for this foundation. I'm so grateful for this place, the crew that helped. The people who have continued to help with the mission, the message, thank you so much. On to the next chapter. Dude, what is life?